Hi guys, Josh with Lucas Lighting, and today we are going to talk about bulb mounting adapters. So if you buy the assorted bag, you're going to get 25 different adapters. So I'm going to show you what kind of cars these are for, and mainly the bulbs that these are going to affect are the H7 and H1. So stay tuned. So typically when the bulb mount and the bulb harness are the same piece, like in this newer ProMaster housing, that is when you're going to need a mounting adapter. We also try our best to add this information to our fit guide. So when you look up your vehicle, you'll see the adapters that you need. Next week's video, we're going to do a couple of installs. One is actually going to be on this ProMaster. This ProMaster uses two different adapters for high beam and low beam. And we're also going to have a Kia, which also uses two different kind of mounts. So stay tuned for that next week. But for now, let's take a look at how these are mounted. Okay guys, so on the H7s and H1s both, a lot of times you're taking the collar off before you put the adapter on. This is the LHBB-001, and a lot of times you're going to put the collar and the adapter in the car first, and you're going to slide the bulb in last. So this is the 001. I'm not going to tell you what cars these are all for because we've got a document for that already, and I want to try to keep this video as short as possible. This is how this fits. And I'm going to run through all 25 really quick and show you how all of them fit. LHBB-002, that's how it's going to look. You'll notice the keyhole right there. That's exactly what you're going to get. LHBB-003, again, we're keyed up at the top with that little H7 footprint. It's going to look like that. LHBB-004, same thing. We're keyed up here on the H7 key, and that's what it's going to look like. LHBB-005, we're keyed up on the top right here. And that's what it should look like when you put it in. LHBB-006, this is your Ram ProMaster adapter. We're going to be demonstrating this next week in our video. You can see that the H7 key matches up with that top piece, and these two bottom guys are on the opposite side. This is the LHBB-007 adapter. This is the first H1 adapter of the bunch. You're only going to see adapters on H1s or H7s. 90% of them are going to be H7. So this is going to be for the Fiesta and Focus, and you're not going to see it too often, but this is how that's going to look. This is the LHBB-008. We're back to the H7s. But basically these little fingers are going to be on each side with the wire coming straight down off the bottom. These are mostly for Fords and Lincolns and Mercuries. This is the LHBB-009, the Hyundai Kia adapter. Some of the Mitsubishis take this too. We're going to cover this next week in more detail. We're going to install this in an actual housing because this is a very common adapter that you're going to run into a lot, especially if you're doing Hyundai Kia vehicles. So this is kind of how it looks. A lot of times you're going to be cutting this tab off right here because, as you can see, it is hitting the bulb, and on the bottom side it does hit the wire there. This is really just for installation twisting, and then they can be cut off. So we'll show you more of that next week, but this is how this is going to sit in your H7 bulb. Okay, the LHBB-10 or 010, it's the same as the 009. The only difference is that it turns the bulb about 45 degrees here. So it's just an alternate angle. If you have a bulb that's not clockable, you would want to order the 009 and the 010, just so that you have a little bit of flexibility in the angle in case that you're not getting a proper beam pattern. So same thing, 009, 010, same thing, just different angle. This is the LHBB-011 H7 adapter. The only car I've ever seen this in is the CX-7, Mazda CX-7 7-12. And the little angled guy is going to be on the bottom there. You can kind of see it. This is the LHBB-012 H7 adapter. Now this is the same as the 025. The only difference between the two is that the 012 has a split in the bottom of it, and the 25 is a complete ring. So that's the only difference between these two. So they can be used interchangeably. This is the LHBB-013. This is the second of our H1 adapters. This is mainly for Honda and Acura vehicles. This is the LHBB014. This is our third H1 adapter, also for Honda and Acura vehicles. This is the LHBB-015. This is for mainly Hyundai Kia vehicles. We're actually going to be putting one of these in next week as well in an actual housing so you can see what it looks like. But the key kind of goes into that part of the plastic there, you can see. So just make sure that key lines up, and then it's just going to go in and twist. This is the LHBB016 H7 adapter. This is pretty much just for Volkswagen. And again, you can see that the key on the H7 bulb kind of goes there. The LHBB23 can be used sometimes too, and I'll show you that in a minute, how you can identify whether you need this one or that one. This one doesn't have any electrical components on it, and that's going to be the difference. But this is what it should look like. This is the LHBB-017 H7 adapter. Again, this is a Hyundai Kia, and you really just want to make sure that that H7 key is kind of inserted in that plastic like so. So some of these are hard to turn all the way because of the cable, and you can actually just take flush cutters and just cut that right off, that little tab there, and that will turn all the way for you. Okay, this is the LHBB018, and this is for an H7 bulb. We're actually going to be doing this next week with the ProMaster. This is going to be for the ProMaster high beams as well as the Ford Focus, but that's what it looks like on the bulb. It is actually for an H7. Next is the LHBB19, and again you can see that there is a key for the H7 bulb in that. These are mainly for older BMW and Mercedes vehicles. This is the LHBB020 H7 adapter. You can see that again we have a keyed spot up here. This is really for the Saturn Astra. Is the only car I've ever seen this for, so it's going to be a rare one. You're probably never going to use it, but there it is if you need it. This is the LHBB021 H7 adapter. You're going to see this 05 to 10 Jetta Passat is really the only cars I've ever seen this on, but that's what it's going to look like. Again, we've got that keyed up on the top there. Okay, the LHBB022 H1 adapter. This is the last of our 4 H1 adapters, and kind of the craziest is it's just kind of a flimsy piece of metal, but it kind of goes around the bulb like this, and then these two little hands right here have to go underneath the collar, and they hold the collar in, and then this goes inside of a plastic piece which kind of holds the shape together. So that's exactly what it's going to look like right there. Just make sure these little hands are holding the collar for you, and then you're going to push this in, and then it's going to go into that plastic receptacle. So pretty easy. Okay, the LHBB023 H7 adapter, that's going to be for the Metris, the Sprinter, some Volkswagens. This guy, if you take the factory housing out, you're going to see those two little pins. The alternate adapter for this is the BB016. You could probably get an L1 in this, but the problem is they got this big bulky PCB with a connector on it. You can't get L3 in here. You can't get an L5 in here for sure. The L4, the L1, you could push it, you could get it in, but then you might not be able to push it all the way in, so it's not going to index correctly. If you run into this, I would really just do the MX on this, so you don't need an adapter, and it's going to align probably the best. So honest feedback there. You could probably get a bulb in here. You don't really want to grind that. Okay, very last adapter, the LHBB-24 H7 adapter. This fits all of the H7, so no limitations there as compared to the 23. The one thing you do have to worry about though is make sure that these metal connectors are not touching the bulb when you put it in like this, so you might have to bend those out a little bit. Probably wouldn't hurt to put some heat shrink on there as well, and you'd be good to go. Just make sure that the H7 key is keyed into that, like so, and you're good to go. Okay guys, that's all of our adapters. So if you look at this H7 and you compare it to a factory H7, you can just see that there's so much more on the back, which is why we need these adapters. If you don't want to carry 21 different H7 adapters. You can carry the MX bulb instead, and you can see that the MX is about the same size on the back. So you don't need any adapters when you use the MX, which is fantastic. So a lot of guys carry these just for Mercedes and Volkswagen. So stay tuned next week. We're going to be doing adapter 6 and adapter 18 on the ProMaster, and we're going to be doing adapters 9, 10, and 15 on a Hyundai Kia housing. So we're going to show you exactly what that looks like in an actual housing. Stay tuned for that next week, and thanks for watching.